Hi dolls! Well, a very obvious fact by now would be that my best friend and I love Barbie. And in the past we have made videos about how we got into Barbie and some of our favourite Barbie memories, but we have never really talked too much about what Barbie means to us personally and why we are actually Barbie lovers. We have kind of only scratched the surface of all of that, and so we thought we would make another video where we delve deeper into all of that and share with you all some of the reasons why Barbie actually means so much to our lives. Now this is probably going to be a longer video, so sit back and relax, maybe have a cup of tea or something. Hopefully you will enjoy it. It has been a requested video as well as something that we wanted to do, and apparently at least some of you do enjoy our talking videos. They have been requested and you guys just like when we talk about Barbie and things like that, and I think these are our favourite videos as well. So yes, we hope you will enjoy this video and hearing a little bit more about why we love Barbie so much. Well, I'll just keep this part brief since we did talk about it in our storytime videos, but basically as a child I wasn't the biggest Barbie fan. I liked her, don't get me wrong. I had some Barbies that I loved to play with. I enjoyed playing some Barbie games, but she just wasn't that big, I guess. I just played with a lot of things as a kid, and once I was older, Bratz was everything. So yeah, Barbie really wasn't as much a part of my childhood as with a lot of other people. It wasn't until later on in 2012 when I would watch one of her movies for the first time, and that is when Barbie really became a big part of my life. It was December of 2012 and I was flicking through the TV channels and Barbie of Swan Lake was starting. I decided to watch it and I was really excited actually because I'd always heard of the Barbie movies, but for some reason I'd never owned any or seen any up until that point. I think it's safe to say that I enjoyed it. I was enchanted, and that is when Barbie really came flooding into my world.
Hey dolls! Now, yes, Shannon and I have wanted to make this video for a little while and really, we love talking with each other about how much Barbie means to us. And so now I'm going to share what she means to me personally. Now, we have been, Barbie's kind of our generation at least, dolls were a very big part of us growing up. Bratz and Barbie both. So for me personally growing up, Barbie was always a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I actually didn't have many of my own Barbie dolls that I can remember, but we had a lot because I had all my sister's ones that were passed down, and at the time I loved them still, but I love them even more now because I realize how many cool vintage and special ones they had. But yes, when I was very young, that was probably about 3 or 4, my sister and I would always play with them, and but then Bratz came into our lives, and after that I was sworn against Barbie, and it's just crazy. I look back and I'm I was such an idiot kid. I was just so sworn against her and so for Bratz, and I can't even believe that I was like that. And so many girls our ages, Shannon and I's age, were all like that because you had to pick one or the other, and of course Bratz usually won over in the end. But we can make a totally different video about the equality of Barbie and Bratz and all dolls. But anyway, I won't get into that today. But Barbie has always been a part of my life. As a kid, she created those most special memories of that, special kind of weekend bonding time with my sister. A lot of special memories, playing Barbies with my sister. And then later on, I share those special memories with, of course, my best friend, the co-runner of this channel and our Instagram page, Shannon. What Barbie's personally meant to me, though, was when I first got into her, it was kind of like, I just love the movies. They brought back a lot of nostalgia. Watching the Nutcracker on VHS, my sister got it for Christmas, and I remember coveting her Nutcracker Barbie so badly. Like, that for me at the time was one of the most beautiful dolls I had ever seen. You know, she was a ballerina, like, I loved ballet. When I got into the movies, it kind of brought back that nostalgia of watching a few of them when I was a kid. And I always just did like watching them, even before I, you know, like, because there were a couple of times as a kid where I saw them on TV and I would watch them, you know, even before they meant anything for me. Like, back then it was just like a good, wholesome cartoon, which is, you know, what Shannon and I have always been drawn to, is good, wholesome things.
I was 14 at the time, and looking back on it, I think that was the perfect time for me to get into Barbie, because whilst it is great to have Barbie as a child, and specifically the movies, both Katie and I think that they are even more impactful as teenagers, for obvious reasons that you can understand the story more and understand what the character's actually saying. And I think you can get more out of it that way. But I also think that when you're a teenager is when you can really start taking the lessons you learn from Barbie and actually applying it to your life. 14 is a very impressionable age. It's also the time where you really start figuring out things about yourself and about life in general. I was never a typical teenager, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that I was always smarter than people my age. But I still had my own stuff to figure out. I had my own insecurities, my own struggles, and I made my own kind of mistakes. I wasn't ever one to try to change myself per se, but I did a lot of experimenting in my own sort of way, just trying to figure out who I really was and where I fit in. When that happens, sometimes the things you like tend to take a back seat, but Barbie never did. She was there through it all. The Barbie movies especially were something that Katie and I really bonded over in our teen years. And we have so many happy memories with them from those years, especially from waiting for the new ones to come out, because during that time a lot of the newer Barbie movies were being released 2 to 3 each year, and that was always such an exciting feeling from the moment we got into Barbie to look forward to the new ones that were coming out. And I remember the release of all of them and how it felt to get them and all of that, and when we watched them for the first time. But I do have one specific memory, especially once we were on a summer camp and no one was hanging out with me, of course, and I was forced to go shopping because that is what everyone wanted to do, whether you liked it or not. We had to go shopping, and there were only a bunch of surf shops too, so it was extra boring. But I did manage to find a Target. Yeah, at that point I was just on my own, so I walked by myself to the DVD section, and this was when Secret Door was coming out, or had come out, so it was 2014. And Katie and I had already watched the movie, but I hadn't brought it on DVD yet. It was her DVD. So I picked up Secret Door and I decided I was going to buy it. And in that small moment, as I stood there in the Barbie movie section, it just made me happier to be there. And just for those few moments, I felt somehow less alone and less scared. I held on to the movie afterwards because it made me feel safe. I know that might seem kind of strange, but that is what Barbie did for me back then. She was that one safe thing that we always had. We could always depend on her. I think that when you're a teenager and everything is confusing, it is really important to have something like that. We leaned quite heavily on Barbie movies during those years, and not only did they get us through a lot, but I believe they made us better people as well. And eventually they were a huge part of our courage that we found to be ourselves and to stand up for ourselves.
Shannon and I, like, I guess, you know, like when she came back to that, it was, you know, that good wholesome thing. And then for me, at first it was just like a nostalgia thing, but as we began to watch more and more, and like it was just bringing that happiness again, because at this point Bratz had kind of disappeared off the radar a bit. You know, they weren't really producing dolls anymore. At least I don't think so. They were producing those like 2013, so I think they weren't around at that time anymore. We'd already had all the Bratz movies, so this was kind of giving us something new, you know, to get into. Not that we were losing our love for Bratz at all, but, you know, it kind of gave us this new thing to get into, to look forward to collect, and giving us just new kind of warm, happy, yeah, feelings, I guess. You know, like I remember just going to Target, saving all my money at the time, wasn't making that much, but I was going to Target and buying like 2 or 3 Barbie DVDs all the time. And some of my first ones were a lot of the classic ones, which everyone's favourites, like Rapunzel or Princess and the Pauper. I was buying all of those ones. And I was just, you know, I was just started getting addicted to watching the movies. But then that addiction quickly spread to collecting the dolls, the movie dolls at first, but then just collecting other dolls that we liked at the time, and also collecting vintage dolls later on, and just any kind of Barbie that we liked, you know. And 2013, 2014 and 2015, I might say, there was a lot of very low times in those 3 years for Shannon and I. Especially 2015, you know, I won't lie, that was one of the hardest years that Shannon and I went through together, but also separately. You know, we both, like, we were always together best friends, but, you know, like, we had stuff going on in our own separate minds, and it was really hard because, you know, we were there for each other, of course, but I was in a very dark, down place that I just couldn't be pulled out of. You know, I just needed to kind of wallow there alone, I guess. But the thing was, I wasn't really alone, you know. Barbie was still a part of our lives, and we were still, you know, putting those movies on. At that point, thankfully, she was still releasing, you know, new movies every year, multiple times a year, all the time. You know, we were always looking forward to those. We were always getting the new movies at that point, and she kind of just gave us that consistent hope, something that we were looking forward to, because there were some days where there was just nothing that was going right, you know. And so I do appreciate the movies for giving that hope, like, okay, we've got nothing else to look forward to this month, new Barbie movies coming out. So yeah, they kind of still gave us those little bits of hope at the movies. But then, you know, there was this point in 2015 where it's actually kind of wrestling that did it to us, but we can also owe it to Barbie, I think, where we were trying to fit in with a group of people that after 2 years of trying, we realised these people are never going to like us no matter what we do or change about ourselves. So then we all decided, like, you know, who cares, let's just be ourselves. And so we started dressing in our wrestling gear, like in merchandise and stuff, going to this place. And then we also, though, eventually there was like a superhero dress-up night, and everyone was like dressed in typical superhero garb, but we decided to dress up as Super Sparkle and Dark Sparkle. And I think it's just little things like that, you know, like, we thought it was really cool because we were different, but it wasn't just that. Also, it was, you know, Barbie kind of being that hope that, you know, we just didn't have to care what people thought of us anymore, and I could incorporate Barbie because it's what we loved, and that's what made us happy, when we could be ourselves. And we realised we weren't, you know, didn't fix all our problems at the time, but we felt so much happier when we could just finally be ourselves and be who we were. That's what Barbie continually has tried to teach us in all of her movies, you know. It's like a huge message that she wants us to be our unique selves, and part of our unique selves is our love for Barbie. And we started to really live out her messages, live out the quotes that we adore so much at the end of her movies. And yeah, we just realised, you know, that now, like, we were starting to really live out that life, and we eventually left that place, and then we were just, you know, growing into our, like, young adulthood at that point.
Now we are in our early 20s, and she is a bigger part of our lives than ever before. She helps me with a lot of struggles in adulthood, and these days I have realized that the reason I love her so much is because she represents what I truly value in life and all the things that I dream about and what I really love but can't seem to find in this world. Those things are always there in a Barbie movie. And since I'm someone that does get quite overwhelmed by the world at times, Barbie gives me a place to go and relax and breathe and experience all of those good feelings that I really want to feel. It's a great escape. But it's not only that, because oftentimes these movies are more real than real life, and when I watch them, they not only comfort me, but they help me to keep believing for real life as well. They help me to keep believing in all of the good things that I can't see, all of the things that seem impossible and far gone from this world. I find them in the Barbie world, and there I also find new strength and courage to keep hope for the seemingly impossible things, you know, the miracles. It isn't always easy to keep faith for things like that, but Barbie really helps me there. It's hard to explain, but when I'm losing it, Barbie is one of those things that is always able to reach me and sort of breathe this new strength into me to help me keep going and keep believing. The whole Barbie brand is filled with so much positivity and light that it's instantly one of those things that I would think to turn to when I need a little or a big pick-me-up, because that's what Barbie does. She always picks me up. She is always there for me. I feel better every time. I feel better every time I watch a Barbie movie, and when I'm down, I often regret not picking one up sooner. Barbie movies are such a lifeline to me. They're like hugs, and Barbie herself is love to me. She is always something that seems to be able to break through to my heart and bring it comfort and encouragement and hope when I need it the most.
For me, Barbie is more relevant than ever the older we get. I'm about to be 23, and it really inspires me when I see people like Azusa Barbie that still hold on to that. Like, she looks like she lives, and I know no one's life's perfect, but she lives a very happy, positive life, and her life's full of Barbie. And that's kind of what I want to keep Barbie in my life, so I can keep living that happy and that positivity. And recently, this year hasn't been the best. I've been far away from home and I've been going through a lot of stuff on my own, but something that has always been there for me again was Barbie. I got one of those streaming services that had all of my movies because I've been away from my DVDs, and I just went through watching all these Barbie movies, and they just made me feel so much better. And something that's also made me feel better is having those as collecting dolls as well, of course. This year I haven't been able to get many dolls, but I have gotten quite a few, I would say, when I think about it actually. And I'm very happy for all the dolls I have. They mean so much to me. And Barbie just gives me that thing every day. Honestly, like, her quotes are stuck in my mind all the time when I'm going through a lot of stuff. One of my favorite ones is you're braver than you think. Every time I go into a situation of fear or nervousness, that one always comes into my mind. Those things always leave things better than you found them. I really like that one too, because I always want to kind of leave a positive change, whether it's in the world or in someone's life, or even something people will never know about. There's just so her quotes are something that really have impacted my life, because I really try to live by those as much as I can, and I use those to inspire and give me courage in the things that I face, and things like Barbie's vlogs as well. We haven't really gotten a new movie, well, we do have one now, but Shannon and I are waiting to watch it together. But even her vlogs are just, you know, every few weeks. I love seeing them because they can give us again that little inspiration, that bit of happiness.
You know, people are always telling me that, oh, you're so positive, you're so strong, and all of that. And while I appreciate that, and I do like to be more on the positive side of things, you know, I don't like to be negative, but I don't always feel that positive. You know, like I try to speak positively and live that way, but you know, I feel negative emotions just as much as anyone else. I fight against so much negativity and things trying to bring me down all the time, and you know, it's more of a fight for me than some people might think. But I guess the reason that people think I'm so positive is because I take something like Barbie and everything she is, everything she teaches me, and I take that to heart. I listen to Barbie and I do my best to apply the things I get from her to my life. I am often surprised at other people who also watch Barbie and yet they don't do this. I always think, how can you watch something like this and still have the same attitude, still live the same kind of life, like you're not affected by it at all and none of it is getting through to you? I have come to realize that whilst a lot of people are, I am not the kind of person who can watch or listen to anything passively. Everything I take in, I'm going to really take in. I'm going to soak it all up and it's going to affect me in some way. And so that's why I only watch things that are going to make me want to be better somehow. Entertainment comes second with pretty much everything that I watch. So with Barbie, the reason that I love her and her movies isn't nostalgia, and it's not this, oh, it's a pretty feel-good movie kind of thing, even though they are pretty and they do make you feel good. But my point is that Barbie is something that always makes me want to be better, and when I watch her, I believe that I can be. I really soak in the whole attitude of Barbie, which I guess is why people think I'm so positive and strong, but it's really because I choose to listen and take it all in. And I guess that sort of leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk about how Barbie not only helps me with positivity and comfort and believing for good, but she also reminds me of who I am, her movies especially. When I watch them, I can see so much of who I am and of who I want to be. That can get a little lost sometimes, but whenever I watch a Barbie movie, it helps to bring that back into clear focus for me. She reminds me of the resilience that's in me. She helps me to find the courage within and shows me that it was always there. Barbie is brave and gentle and hopeful and smart. She is loving and determined and patient and kind. She is so many good things. She holds all the virtues that I hope that I hold or will learn to hold, and she's everything that I want to be. And when I watch her, I believe that I am and that I can. She makes me want to really work on myself, and she makes me want to become the best version of me that I can be.
I think Barbie for me has just been something that, and I look back at my whole life and Barbie's whole existence, she's like a rock, you know, she never changes and she's always constant. Like, Barbie has not changed her values or who she is for the last 60 years. She's always just been that kind, caring, beautiful soul for the last 61 years, you know, like, she does not change. At this point, I don't think she will, and I hope not, you know. She is something that's timeless. She's never tried to change and fit in with the different generations. She's just been herself, and because she's been herself, she's been able to fit in to whatever time frame she is in, you know. And I think that's also an inspiration to me. because of her never changing this. She's just always her kind, beautiful self. And it's an inspiration for me to, not change myself for other people, not change to try to fit in, but just try to be as kind as her, to have that beautiful heart like her. And yeah, I just guess I look forward to her. I looked up to her, my daily inspiration, my daily courage, and the kind of person I really want to be. So for me, when I look back over my life, Barbie's always been there, never changing. And she's been that person that just provides happiness, light, and positivity, And I think, that's what Barbie means to me. She's light, she's positivity. More than anything, she's just a huge encouragement in my life. To pick me up when I'm down, to calm me down when I'm angry and thinking of, doing, a stupid thing to hurt someone or something. She gives me that, calm down, use your mind first, stay true to that kind, beautiful person inside.
People may not understand how a simple doll or an animated character can do all of this, but when I watch Barbie, I find everything that I want and cherish, and I'm reminded of everything that is most important to me and in general. Barbie has this way of getting me focused and of giving me hope time and time again. Barbie is one of the most pure things in the world today, and ever since she came into my world, she has always been this constant light guiding and encouraging me. Barbie is something that always makes me happy, and these days I find that even if my heart is too heavy for even her to pick up, it is still a good idea to put on a Barbie movie because she still helps. Sometimes it's just good to have her there, like a friend who can't always take your pain away or make you feel better all the time, but it's just good to have them there, and you just know that you're better off than you would be if they weren't there with you. That is what Barbie is to me. She is my close good friend and an eternal part of me.
When I'm upset and I'm down, she cheers me up, especially with how real Barbie gets these days. When, Barbie admits herself that she's not perfect, she has her own down days too, but she lets me know that I'm not alone, that I always have her. I can always put on her music or put on her vlogs or a show or a movie, or I can even just, sit with my dolls and I don't know. I don't really play with dolls anymore in the sense of, pulling out like a dollhouse, but I can sit, I can fix their hair, brush their hair, and maybe change their clothes around or something, just sit and enjoy the hobby of collecting Barbies as well. Or, last year I bought this like watercolor Barbie book, and it's just sort of things like that Barbie can come in every part of my life, where I can sit and make a cup of tea in my Barbie cup, and she's always there in all the little things. And this year, she's been a huge encouragement of I always have my dolls to collect, my movies to watch, her quotes in my heart, and her inspiration in my life. And I guess that's what Barbie means to me. Well, thank you so much for watching, dolls. This is a special video to us because Barbie does mean so much to us, and honestly, if we were together, this video would be like an hour long, because I know we could go on for an hour about what Barbie means to us. But thank you for sticking it out and watching what is the length of this video. And as always, our channel, our Instagram page have stemmed from my love for Barbie. I wanted to just share the light, love, and positivity she brings to us with other people, and so we appreciate you watching our videos and supporting our content, and that's why we make it. We just want to share Barbie's message of love, light, and positivity, and we hope you can feel her touch in your life too. Thanks, dolls. Peace.